Physical media man, physical media man, physical media man. What'd you buy? Was it something good?
What's up, guys? Physical Media Man back here again for another Physical Media Man Monday video. I got the month of June's movie reviews for you guys. Before I get started, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, leave feedback, do a lot of good stuff down below. I'll leave the links to my Instagram page, my Physical Media Man store Instagram page, my Facebook page for the Physical Media Man / Physical Media Man store, my Facebook page for non-media related items to Hodgepodge Garage, my email, my eBay, my Twitter, my Letterboxd account, my Film Aficionado account, where you can follow along with my collection, which is not yet up to date, but they have fixed their site, so I'm going to go back through and get that updated. I have gone through and updated my wish list of movies I'm after, because I had been able to obtain some of those since the site's been down, so that should be good to go, but I haven't updated my collection portion yet. So, alright, without further ado, here is the month of June's movie reviews. We watched a lot of movies again this month. Probably will for the month of July, and then once sports come back, it'll probably not be as many titles as these last few months have been. So, alright, first up, we watched Waking Ned Devine, and this is a story of like a fishing town or some sort of town where the main way that people made money, they aren't able to do it anymore, so they're basically all on like welfare, and the lottery's really high at the time, and one of the residents wins, but he is dead. So the community has to all come together. One of the main characters in the movie, they decide to have him act like he's the guy that died, and he anyways, I don't want to go into too much more detail. That's basically the plot of the movie, though, and a lot of laughs because they're trying to get all the community on board, and everyone's trying to not mess this up so they win all the money, and they got to decide what to do with that type of thing too. But very funny movie. It's out of print. I'm very happy to have this in my collection. I'll definitely watch it again. I definitely recommend this one. I'm giving it a B. I also have a copy for sale on my Physical Media Man store page for $5. If you're interested in that, let me know. So yeah, that's a good one. Next up, we watched Four Brothers. It was a first time watch for my wife. I really enjoy it. It's about a group of kids that were foster kids that were adopted by the foster parent because they were the worst of the worst and no one would adopt them. And they haven't seen each other for quite a few years, and the mother tragically dies, so they try to figure out what happened and why and that sort of thing. I won't go into much more detail on that one either, but I enjoy both these movies. Shooter and Four Brothers are both very good Mark Wahlberg movies. I'm going to give it a B-. But I really enjoy it. I definitely recommend it. I'm happy to have the Blu Ray now in my collection. Next up, we watched Goon. It follows Sean William Scott's character. He starts out as a bouncer at the beginning of the movie, and he goes to a hockey game with Jay Baruchel's character, who does a hockey podcast or TV show type of thing, and somehow he gets involved in the hockey match and ends up becoming a hockey player because of it, and he's a goon, so he's a fighter. Very funny movie, very enjoyable. I still haven't watched the second one yet, but I'm going to give this one a B. Definitely recommend. Next up, we watched Brick with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This is Rian Johnson's directorial debut. I definitely recommend if you like this movie, definitely pick up this Kino release of it. It's got a brand new 4K restoration supervised by writer-director Rian Johnson. It also has an audio commentary, 8 deleted scenes, and casting the roles of Laura and Dode. And there's the special features there on the back. I want to go back and watch this with the audio commentary. Another thing I highly suggest on this movie is watching it with subtitles. At the very beginning of the movie, we didn't really understand what was going on. There's a lot of different lingo. I feel like this movie would be better upon a second watch. But once we turned on the subtitles and kind of had a better idea of what was going on, it was definitely more enjoyable. I'll just go ahead and read this because I don't want to ruin anything. So, Brendan Fry, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, is a high school loner, someone who knows all the angles but has chosen to stay on the outside. When the girl he loves turns up dead, he is determined to find the who and why and plunges into the dark and dangerous social satire or strata of a rich girl Laura, intimidating Tugger, drug-addled Dode, seductive Kara, and the ominous Pin. But who can he really trust? These are the ingredients of Brick, a gritty and provocative thriller co-starring Richard Roundtree, Ryan Johnson. Co-starring Richard Roundtree. Ryan Johnson wrote and directed this clever and twist-filled neo-noir that wowed audiences and critics alike. So yeah, this is a very good film. I'm giving it an A. I know some people might not like it, but I really enjoyed it. Next up, we watched Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon. This is a great film. Probably one of the best, if not the best, martial arts movie ever. So it's his final film. It takes Lee to the island fortress of a criminal warlord, Han, whose martial arts academy covers up opium smuggling and prostitution activities. To avenge the death of his sister, Lee infiltrates the stronghold and enters Han's brutal tournament. So yeah, this is a very enjoyable film. I'm looking forward to picking up the Criterion box set of Bruce Lee Greatest Hits and having a Blu-ray copy of this. I'm going to give it an A-. So if you're interested in this DVD, let me know. Next up, we watched Flashdance. Oh, about lost the case there. This is part of the Paramount Presents line. I had this on DVD and just blind buy upgrade because I want to get all the Paramount Presents. And this movie is very good. Jennifer Beal stars as Alex, a fiercely determined 18-year-old with one all-consuming dream: to study at the Pittsburgh Conservatory of Dance. Working during the day as a welder and at night as an exotic dancer, Alex bravely pursues her dream, undertaking an unforgettable journey that reveals the power of her convictions. It's got a great soundtrack. I had the record actually, so I didn't have that on my record shelf, so I went ahead and found it and grabbed it, and gonna get that sleeved up. But very good movie, great music, great dancing, good story. Giving it a B. Next up, I watched The Greatest Wrestling Stars of the 80s. It's a 3-disc set. It's got 15 superstars featured. I'm giving this a C. This is one of my least favorite of the WWE home video releases. I wish what they would have done would have been to put all of the documentary type stuff on one disc. I don't know if it would have fit, but instead you got to switch a disc 3 times in order to, or you got to put in all 3 discs to be able to watch the little. It's about a 10 to 20 minute on each wrestler, and part of the problem was that there's a lot of repetition because a lot of the wrestlers are wrestling against each other and that sort of thing. So you get some of the same stuff there. And then also I had already watched some of the documentaries on individual wrestlers or knew more about them. So the ones I didn't know anything about, that was kind of good. But overall, I just didn't care for it. I'm going to give it a C. Next up on ESPN Plus, we watched the 30 for 30 Be Water on Bruce Lee. It was interesting because I didn't know too much about his story. One big negative for me was with this documentary, they didn't show who was talking until the very end of the documentary. So the whole time they're talking, you don't have a face to go along with that voice. You're just seeing pictures or video. I think that would have really, and they didn't have to do it for too long. I don't understand why they went that route with it. So that was my big gripe with it. So I'm going to give it a C+. But if you don't know very much about Bruce Lee, I definitely check it out. Next up, we watched Dope. This is a second time watch for me. Very good film. It's about a group of high school friends that are big into like 80s rap and pop culture and clothing. They consider themselves nerds. I really enjoy this because of the music, and it's just different. The way the movie's shot. So they're all really smart, but somehow they get drugs in their book bag on accident, and they have to sell them in order to not getting beat up or get in trouble. So I don't really want to go into too much more detail. So yeah, it's a middle of an adventure involving shady drug dealers, offbeat weirdos, and a backpack that can make or break his chance of getting into Harvard. Also stars A$AP Rocky, Blake Anderson, and Zoe Kravitz. So the cast is good too. Everybody does a very good job in it. I definitely recommend this one. I enjoy it quite a bit. I'm giving it a B+. Next up, we watched 30 for 30 Long Gone Summer. This is another one. Oh yeah, I also thought about doing this. If you guys are interested, let me know. I thought about doing a ranking of 30 for 30s because I've watched almost all of them, if not all of them. I really enjoy watching those documentaries. So if you guys are interested in that type of thing, let me know. Maybe I'll try to do a rankings video on that. But this was one of the weaker ones in my opinion. It doesn't go into much detail on things that were going on behind the scenes. It's mainly just shows. It's just like a retelling of the chase. If you're not familiar with Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa going after the home run record. So it was fun to kind of revisit that, but there wasn't anything extra. They didn't go into. I know Sosa didn't seem like wanted to talk about steroids at all, and I think I heard that McGuire has gone into detail, but they didn't even bring it up until like the last 5 minutes of the documentary, and that's a big part of what was going on. So I'm going to give it a C, but I enjoyed watching it. Next up, we watched Mumford. This is a blind buy. Buddy and viewer Cody kind of told me about this one. He hadn't seen it either, but had heard good things. So it follows a psychiatrist, psychologist. Yeah, wannabe psychologist, curiously named Mumford, comes to the same town of the same name. He offers his talent for listening and disarming frankness as the town's quirkiest citizens scramble for a set on his couch. But there's more to him than that, so I don't want to ruin the movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Jason Lee's in it. He does a very good job. I wasn't really familiar with the main character, Lauren Dean. He's in Space Cowboys, I guess. But he does a good job, and the rest of the supporting cast does a good job. I'm going to give it a B. Next up, we watched Just Mercy. I don't know if it's still free, but during the month of June, or most of the month of June, it was free. You could stream it for free. So I jumped on that opportunity. I wanted to see it when it was in the theater, and we didn't get it around here. It stars Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx. Michael B. Jordan has just graduated from Harvard. He's a lawyer, and he tries to help people that are on death row. And Jamie Foxx's character is on death row. I won't go into too much more detail than that. Very good film. Giving it a B+. I definitely recommend it. You should definitely check it out, especially with everything that's going on in these times. Okay, next up we watched Harriet the Spy. I hadn't watched this one in such a long time. At the beginning of the film I was kind of nervous. I didn't think it was going to hold up, but as the movie went along, it definitely did. Harriet is probably the world's most accomplished 11-year-old spy. Harriet dreams of being a writer, and her nanny and her best friend, Golly, played by Rosie O'Donnell, told her to start by writing down everything she sees. It's all good and fun until Harriet's friends find her secret spy notebook. They don't like what Harriet's written, and they don't like Harriet that much either. Can Harriet win back her friends, or is she doomed to be an outsider, a rejected writer, and a forgotten spy? So yeah, I'm going to give this one a B-. It's still not the greatest movie, but it definitely held up quite a bit, I thought, especially for... It came out in 1996, and I probably hadn't seen it since at least 2000, probably before that even. So, definitely enjoyed rewatching that one. Next up, I watched The Chase, starring Marlon Brando, Jane Fonda, and Robert Redford in one of his earlier roles. The reason I wanted to watch this was because it's part of the Twilight Time going out of business sale. I wanted to see if I wanted to upgrade, and I think I'm going to be getting rid of this DVD, so if you're interested, let me know. It was a pretty good film. It's just for me, though. The moral foundation of a small Texas town is torn apart in this explosive drama about power and greed. Robert Redford's character has just escaped jail. Sheriff Calder isn't the only person chasing Bubba Reeves when he escapes from prison. Oil and cattle baron Val Rogers wants Bubba out of the way to cover up the love affair his son Jason is having with Bubba's wife. The chase is on when bigotry and booze propel the townsfolk into a vigilante mob. Calder's wife tries to convince her husband that he doesn't have to bring Bubba in alive. It wasn't a bad movie. I just don't want to keep it. Giving it a B- if I didn't already say that. And next up, we watched another Paramount Presents release. This is To Catch a Thief. Alfred Hitchcock directed this. Cary Grant's character used to be a thief. A jewel thief who's known as the Cat. He's been considered a suspect in a string of robberies that they were like mimicking the way he did his robberies. So he's got to set out to clear himself, and he meets pampered heiress Frances, played by Grace Kelly. He sees a chance to bait the mysterious thief with her mother's fabulous jewels. So, I definitely enjoyed this one. Acting's very good. Story's good. Definitely enjoyed it, giving it a B. Also, somewhere in there, I watched Beyond the Mat. This was pretty good. Kind of before everyone knew everything that was going on with wrestling, and it was so openly talked about. So it's a behind the scenes look at wrestling. Main people on it are Terry Funk and Mankind, as well as Jake the Snake. This was pretty good. I'll give it a B. Next up, we watched Fast and Furious present Hobbs and Shaw. So it says, for years, hulking lawmen Luke Hobbs and lawless outcast Deckard Shaw have traded smack talk and body blows. But when cyber genetically enhanced anarchist Brixton gains control of an insidious biothreat that could alter humanity forever, Hobbs and Shaw must partner up to bring down the only guy who might be better than themselves. So, it was fun. A little. I don't understand why they have to be so over the top. This one, they act like they're doing it on purpose more than others, but I feel like it could be really like better if they just don't do some of those scenes. But I'm gonna give it a C+. Next up, I went to the movie theater actually and watched the Goonies. We were the only two in the theater. There was hardly anyone in the theater itself. There was a few other movies playing. Had a great time. It looked great watching it on the big screen. I definitely would recommend going to see that movie or a type of movie like that if you could in the theater. But yeah, giving it an A+ if you don't know about the Goonies. I don't really know what to say. It's just such a good movie. Next up, we watched Starman. The DVD in this version, it's for sale if you're interested, but I'm going to kind of bash it a little bit. It was like a full screen, not very good release of it, and I've since picked up the Scream Factory version, so upgraded that one. So it's a romantic science fiction odyssey starring Jeff Bridges as an innocent alien from a distant planet who learns what it means to be a man in love. When his spacecraft is shot down over Wisconsin, Starman arrives at the remote cabin of a distraught young widow. So yeah, John Carpenter directed. Jeff Bridges does very well as Karen Allen in the acting department. It could have been a little better though. I don't know how, but I'm gonna give it a B-. I liked it enough to keep it though. Next up, we watched Warrior. Very good sports movie. Two brothers face the fight of a lifetime and the wreckage of their broken family within the brutal, high-stakes world of mixed martial arts. Stars Tom Hardy, Joel Edgerton, who also directs, and Nick Nolte as their father. Very, very good film, giving it an A. Next up, we watched John Wick 3, Parabellum. Starts off where the second one ends, so I won't go into detail in case you haven't seen the other two for some reason. But I'm giving this a C+, yeah. It's not as good as the other two. The story's not as good. It just leaves off where the second one ends, so there's nothing really new. It's all just one giant action scene, basically, which was very good, but it just wasn't as enjoyable as the first two. I still enjoyed it, but not as well. Next up, we watched When Harry Met Sally. This was a first-time watch for me. I think my wife, first-time watch for her, too. So it says, acclaimed director Rob Reiner, screenwriter Nora Ephron, and stars Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan take you on a journey of love and friendship like no other in this magnificently witty love story that has been deservedly hailed as one of the greatest romantic comedies of all time. Will sex ruin a perfect relationship between a man and a woman? That's what Harry Burns and Sally Albright debate while sharing a drive from Chicago to New York. 11 years of friendship later, they're still no closer to finding the answer. Will these two best friends ever accept that they're a perfect match, or will they continue to deny the attraction that exists between them? Giving this one an A, loved it. Watched the special features on this Shout Factory release that I picked up at Walmart. Definitely recommend doing that if you have this version. There's some great conversation between Rob Reiner and Billy Crystal about the filming of the movie, and some some insight that I didn't know that was really cool. So definitely recommend this one, giving it an A. And lastly, we watched, gonna have a takedown in the background. We watched Apocalypto, Mel Gibson's Apocalypto, giving it a B. It's all in subtitles if you aren't aware. In the twilight of the mysterious Mayan culture, young Jaguar Paul is captured and faces a harrowing end. Driven by the power of his love for his family, he makes a heart-racing escape to rescue them and ultimately save his way of life. Experience both the pristine beauty and unparalleled savagery of this ancient world and eye-popping clarity. So this was out of print for a long time. It's getting a re-release. I had posted this for sale on eBay. It is sold, but they have not paid yet. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I had pre-ordered it, but I went ahead and canceled my pre-order because I don't think I really have a big desire to rewatch this. And even though Mel Gibson directed it, I don't necessarily need it for his collection, even though I have a lot of his movies. And it was a good movie, but I would rather just get the money and get it cheap later if I can. So that's everything that we watched for the month of June. I haven't been doing these reviews too often, so let me know how I'm doing. If you have any tips or suggestions, let me know. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you haven't yet done so, please make sure to subscribe. So this is Physical Media Man signing off. Physical Media will never die.
Physical Media Man. Physical Media Man. Physical Media Man. Yeah!